thought we'd take a few minutes now while your kids are burning off a lot of energy, hopefully, so they'll sleep good for you tonight. But we are going to give them a popsicle at the end and give them more sugar. So that's one of the differences between children's and youth. Or children's, yeah, and youth, right? We've got a handout we're going to give you guys, and you don't have to do any fill in the blanks, but if you want to jot down some notes as we go along, you're welcome to. And I see a couple people that maybe weren't here at the beginning. I'm Kevin. I'm the middle school pastor here, and this is Wendy. She's also on staff with us. And so we're just going to kind of talk to you a little bit about middle school ministry, kind of give you some framework of who we are and what we're all about. And Wendy already went over the calendar with you and stuff, and just kind of give you an overview of what to look forward to as your kids are moving up. How many of you have an older child that's already been up into middle school and on into high school? Okay, several. Who of you, this is your first kid leaving the nest of elementary? Okay, yes, all right. So you are really going through this grieving process. But I just want to let you know that I have a 14-year-old daughter. Fortunately, there's this one little thing that, you know, I was there when she came into high school or into middle school, so it really didn't miss anything. And then here's the deal, though. She's going into high school now, and it's the first time I won't be over high school because I've always been a middle school and high school pastor. So I'm kind of like working through that myself. So I'm with you. I know I have a lot of questions for my boss. What's going on up there? No, but I just know that the releasing process is an important part of being a parent and our kids growing up. So we just want to try and ease your burden a little bit and give you some encouragement and background here. So let me just first of all tell you why we exist. We're a purpose-driven church. We have a purpose-driven youth ministry, and this is our purpose statement in the middle school ministry. The Wire exists to see middle school students walking daily with Jesus, investing in life-giving relationships, reaching people with the good news of God's love, exploring God and His plan for their lives, and devoting their lives to loving God by serving others. If you've ever read Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life, or Purpose-Driven Church, or there's Purpose-Driven Youth Ministries, Purpose-Driven Bracelets, there's Purpose-Driven Anklets, so you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But basically there's 5 purposes from the Great Commission and the Great Commandment: evangelism, fellowship, worship, discipleship, and ministry. And as we plan out our year, everything we do, we're asking, why are we doing this? We don't want to just do things for the sake of doing them. You guys are busy. You've got a lot of stuff going on. You don't need another thing to do, okay? But we believe what we do is important and that it has a reason to it. And whenever we plan things, we step back. Wendy and I just did this for a whole summer calendar. All these events, you know, you could look and just say, what, you know, these kids are just goofing around, they're just playing around all summer. Well, no, you need to know that we actually sat down over the course of several days and said, why are we doing this? What's the point of this event? What's the purpose? And we said, hey, we want going to the beach is a time when we can build relationships with kids as staff and as leaders, and we can encourage fellowship between each other, and we can encourage them in evangelism to invite a friend. Just say, hey, you want to go to, they may not come to church, but they might go to the beach, right? $15 to go spend the day at the beach, I'm there. And guess what? They can get on that bus, they can make friends with kids who know Jesus, they can make friends with our leaders who know Jesus, and we've seen it before, that kids come to know Christ because of a simple event like that. So in everything we do, we are purpose-driven. We're asking, what's the purpose of why we're doing it? Let me give you kind of some of our philosophy of ministry. The first and biggest thing is this: we believe in family first. Family first. And there's a couple of implications to that. First and foremost is this: we believe that God designed the family as the primary place that kids would be trained in the ways of God. If you go all the way back to the book of Deuteronomy, when Moses is talking to the people of Israel, he said, train up your children in the ways of God, and talk about the things of God when you're spending time at home and when you're traveling and all these things. God put the family together as the primary means where kids are to be raised and to learn about God. The youth ministries don't exist to be the primary spiritual leaders of your kids. That's hopefully your job, okay? That's the way God designed it. Now we know some kids, their parents aren't at home or they don't know Christ, and the youth ministry steps up a little bit in that regard. But just as a foundational understanding that God designed the family as the primary place where kids would learn about God. And so when we come along, we want you to know we're here to partner with you. If you know Christ, we want you to know we're with you, and we want to hold your hand, and we want to be with you in that. We're not here to replace you in any way, okay? just a couple weeks ago, a young lady was talking to my wife, and you know, she just really, she's in her small group, and she appreciates her and the whole thing, and she says, you know, she almost started just saying, like, you're like a second mom to me. Well, that's very complimentary, it's very kind. But what happened is my wife had to very quickly communicate to her, listen, I'm not here to replace your mom, okay? I'm not here to replace your mom. I want to encourage you to have a better relationship with your mom. And we just want you to know that as a foundational starting point, we start from that perspective, that family is the number one thing. We also, that plays out in our planning. I know that we ask you to come out and do things, but we also try to be considerate. And this past year we had our small groups here as a way to say, hey, if you got younger kids, you can make one trip to the church instead of two. We try to do that. It's not always possible, but just know that that's in our thinking. And we're considering you and the gas price and all that stuff. Our summer events, you know, you look at our calendar and there's a lot going on, but really we tried to keep the cost very low. I mean, Magic Mountain's like $45 or something, includes the bus. That's about the most expensive thing except for camp, you know. We build some stuff into our budget. We help kids. If you don't have finances, ask us. We'll help scholarship your kids to go to different events, but we want to be as reasonable as we can. So family first is one of our foundational things. Another thing is that we're grace-based. We know that kids are going through a lot and they're going to screw up, right? How many of you guys have ever screwed up? Hey, aren't you glad that God is a God of second and third and fourth and fifth chances, right? And so we know that kids are going to screw around, they're going to monkey up, they're going to, you know, break something, and we want to be gracious in that. You know, there's a line of responsibility in certain things, but we also want to be gracious and let kids know we're here to work with you and help you. We believe in students, by the way. We really have a strong belief in kids. We believe that kids can hear from God. We believe they don't have to come to me as their priest or their pastor to hear from God. We want to turn kids to God because we believe and we know from the Bible that kids can hear from God. Just look through the Bible sometime. Samuel, David, Jeremiah, Timothy, so many of these guys and young girls, Esther, were young people, and they heard from the voice of God. So we believe kids can hear from God. We want to help them. Just this past Sunday, we actually brought your fifth graders up. If they were here Sunday, we brought them up on Sunday into our service. And we actually had the entire morning was run by 6th through 8th graders. We let them run the whole morning. We've been meeting with them all year. These are our student leaders. We had 8 kids we talked to at the beginning of the year and said, hey, we want to meet with you guys every month and talk about leadership, and we want to just encourage you and equip you. Then we got to the end of the school year and said, hey guys, we're giving you the whole Sunday. You guys got to come in. They came in on a Tuesday. We sat down at the computer. We planned out the whole service, who's going to do what. And then all of our leaders just stood in the back, and we sat with the kids, and we were just there cheering for them. Cody preached. My daughter preached. It was just so cool to see these kids. They preached. They led worship. There wasn't one adult up on that stage the whole morning. And it was awesome. And it was a great morning. So we know that they can do it. We want to encourage them in that. We believe relationships are the key to successful youth ministry. How many of you guys, anybody grow up in the church? Anybody? Okay, a few of us. Do you remember, can you give me 5 sermons that your youth pastor preached when you were growing up? Can you just give me 5 sermons? Over the course of 6 or 7 years. Okay, 5? Okay. Can you give me 2? Can you give me 1? Okay, you can give me a couple, that's good. All right. But let me ask you this. Can you tell me about an experience you had with your youth worker? A trip you went on or a time that you spent with them? Most of us can't remember all the talks we heard, but we remember the experiences we had. And we remember that somebody was there loving on us. I remember my youth pastor when I was growing up, his name was Bill. And Bill was a volunteer. We were at a small church. He had a full-time job. He was one of those toll guys. He was the guy taking the money. He worked like the graveyard shift and told him. But he sacrificed. He came and worked with us every week. And I remember he used his personal vacation every summer to take us to New York City for a week so that we could go and minister to homeless people and be on the streets and stuff. And I remember this. And might strike some of you as funny, but I actually used to rap when I was a teenager. Go ahead. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I did. And I actually used to rap with one of the first Christian rappers. His name was Michael Peace. And I used to go and rap at these things. Well, this was back when Christian rap was, people didn't believe there could be such a thing, okay? When rap first started, it was like the devil, okay? And So I'm in this church, and it's an all-white church, and boy, that was even worse. They couldn't understand it, what's going on. Well, my youth pastor said, you got a gift, and I want you to do this. And we actually had a bit of a youth Sunday. And so he said, hey, you're going to get up and rap in front of the church on Sunday morning. I was all excited, turned my hat, man, pulled my pants down. We didn't do that back then. But I just got ready, man. I was all psyched up, and I showed up on Sunday morning, and my youth pastor pulled me aside and was like, there's controversy. Some people don't want you to rap because they're afraid of it and the whole deal, and they don't going to know what you're saying. So here's what I had to do. He compromised with the pastor, and he came to me and said, they're going to let you do it, but they want you to write your words out on the overhead so everybody can see what you're saying. So I pulled out overheads, and I wrote them down. You know, this is back when they had to do the whole deal. But I will never forget that my youth pastor went to bat for me, and I got to get up there and use a gift that God had given me. And I hung it up for a lot of years, but I brought it back a little bit, being in Southwest. You can check it out on YouTube, PK Dizzle. He's there, okay? Yeah, that was my funny little comedy name that we made up a couple years ago. But so we rap about small groups, we rap about winter camp, we have fun. So we know that relationships are huge. Another thing that we believe in is what I would call team ministry, and I use team as an acronym for Teen Empowerment Adult Mentoring. And so, like I said, on Sunday, we just tried to mentor these kids. As adults, we poured into them, and then we let them kind of lead, and we gave them a chance to do that. So we try to do that. I already mentioned that we're purpose-driven. We believe in being patient. And I'll say this, we also believe in what I would call play hard, pray hard. Play hard, pray hard. Man, when it's time to play, you will see Wendy going crazy. She goes berserk. You'll see me until my back goes out being a little nutty, okay? Like I get nostalgic for a few minutes, and I think I can run with these kids, and I can wrestle, and then I pick one up, and it's like, okay, hey, good to see you. I'm just gonna go get some pills, so I'll be right back. And, but man, we go all out. Nolan is a nut. He's probably over there, he is. Like, he's just running around. He loves to go crazy with the kids, and we go all out. But here's what I would say, just like we pour ourselves into the fun stuff, we want to pour ourselves into the serious stuff. And when we go to camp, you know, when we're playing around, great. But when it's time for chapel, we just encourage the kids, hey, this is our time to focus on God. Let's not be monkeying around and goofing around. Let's go as hard after God as we were going hard after the kickball, you know? And so that's something, and it doesn't happen overnight, and kids don't get it right away, but we want them to know, hey, we want you to be as serious about God as you are about other things in your life. Let me talk to you just quickly about our leadership. You've met some of our staff and volunteers. I just want you to know that as a church, we screen every person that works with the kids in our church. They go through full background checks. They go through an interview process. What's that? Yeah, Jason is kind of on the docket right now. We're still checking on a few things, calling some references. Yeah. It's funny how he only put people that were like really good friends. Isn't that funny? Isn't that the funniest thing? References. I just think, who's going to put down somebody who's going to say something bad about him? Yep. You'd be a moron. Yes, I think I'll put this person. They didn't like me at all. Anyways, so Wendy is actually on our youth staff. She's over the volunteers. And I'll throw this out as a shameless sales pitch. If you're interested in helping out and you want to join up with us, talk to Wendy. I put her email address right here and her cell phone number and her home address. You guys can just hit her up. She's ready to help you out. But she's in charge of our volunteers, and if you're interested in helping, she'll talk you through our application process. She'll set up the interview, and then we run a background check and talk to you about where you want to get involved, okay? We have certain things that we do, and maybe you're sitting there going, I don't know how I'll fit into what you're doing, but I'm interested. Talk to us. We'll find a place for you, okay? My approach is this. If you are interested and you're available and you want to do something, we'll find a place for you. And if we have to make a ministry that fits you. I had a 91-year-old youth leader in New York. 91. She came to me because she was raising her granddaughter. Her granddaughter was getting in all kinds of trouble, and I had never heard of her. She came to me and said, I got to talk to you. She showed up in my office. We talked about her granddaughter, and she said, whatever happens with my granddaughter, I don't want to help out in the youth ministry. She would just show up, and she had her cane, and it had like a giraffe on it, and she just loved to sit outside the door and say hi to kids when they showed up. And then they would go out to the bathroom during the service, and they would be monkeying around. She'd take a cane and she'd slap them, and she'd say, get back in there. It was awesome. And then she'd go, now get over here and give me a hug. You know Granny loves you. And she was awesome. And so I never discount anybody. If you want to help out, we'll find a spot for you, so talk to Wendy. Let me just talk to you about our Sunday mornings. That's kind of our big weekend program. We don't meet on Saturdays. If you go to Saturday night, here's what I would encourage you to do. If your kids go on Saturday, have them serve on Saturday night, maybe down in children's, or go to church as a family. That's what our family does. We go to church as a family on Saturdays. The Sundays are full for us. And then we meet at 9:15 and 11 on Sunday mornings, okay? 9:15 and 11. And as Wendy mentioned, the check-in process is a little different than children's. They can actually come up and check in themselves. You don't have to walk them upstairs. We know that we're all getting old, Wendy, and the stairs are really bad on our backs. But they can come up and just come and check in. Now, I will say this. We were asked a little while ago, like, hey, how many kids check in like on a regular basis? And we do like a head count so we know the actual total. And we run, like 150 kids on a Sunday morning. Well, we were having like 80 kids check in, okay? So if you just looked at the computer and said we were having like 80 kids. Now, the point is not the numbers. The point is this, that if kids don't sign in, we're still going to count them as being there, but here's where it gets them. How many of you guys are helping at Summer Spectacular? How many of your kids want to help out? Okay, some kids have wanted to help out at Summer Spectacular, and they have applied, and then when Alice calls them, they look in the computer and it says, you haven't been here. So she calls them and they say, yeah, I go all the time. Well, then it causes extra work for her. She's asking us, do you know this person? And we check with the small group leaders, do you know this person? The point is, tell your kids when they go up, you need to check in. Even though nobody's there making sure you're going to do it, check in, because that's when it really counts, is when they want to serve. They're going to look in that computer system, okay? Also, Wendy said when they get out, we just let them go at the end of service. We'll encourage them to go in the game room, but you make arrangements with them where you want to pick them up. Our services, we have basically bring them in. We do like a crowd mixer. We try to get kids up and moving and meeting other kids. We play a game. We do our offering. We make announcement videos. If your kids like to make videos, usually during the week, we'll invite kids to come over and help us. And then we do our offering. We have a time of worship and then preaching and usually response and that kind of thing. So that's kind of a general service flow. Again, like Wendy said, encourage your kids to invite their unchurched friends. Encourage them to bring their Bibles and an offering. And like she said, they can bring money and or a can of food. We have a tub. Actually, this is our old one. I just bought a new one yesterday because this one just got destroyed. We had so many cans in it, it was breaking. And we just put it out and we tell the kids fill the tub. And also dress casual. All right, just a couple more things here. Small groups. They're going to be stopped for the summer. We pause them during the summer because of all the other things that are going on, people out of town. They'll resume again in the fall, and we will be contacting you in probably like late August to say they're coming, and then we usually do like interest and just kind of pump them up, and then usually by mid or late September we're starting those up, okay? And we just did a survey to kind of get feedback from everybody, and we're kind of assessing that data to figure out how we can make them even better next year. So this year they met at the church. We are considering maybe doing them at homes again this year, but we're still in the process of making that decision. Okay? And finally, just jumping down here, keeping up with The Wire. Go to our webpage. We try to keep that updated, thewirenow.com. Probably the biggest, and I know your kids are young, but this is what I'm finding, this is cool, the more kids come up, the more their parents are on Facebook. So we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter, but you can find those links through our webpage. But Facebook is really the primary place that we just constantly are putting the word out. So if you're on Facebook, go to thewirenow.com, hit the link, and you can friend us. And then, like I said, make sure we've got all your current information. If you change a phone number or something, let us know that. And we try to send out an email maybe once or twice a month just saying, hey, here's some highlights of things coming up, just to keep it on your radar. So make sure we've got updated information for you. And we print out calendars and flyers. One of the things that high school is doing is going away from flyers, just going all digital. But we know that some of our kids aren't on Facebook or whatever, so we're still kind of making flyers and stuff for them. We'll try to move away from that, but we know that that's still something that we need to do. So.